Deja vu here. Okay, so we're straining to maintain a stream. This is the baby channel artwork. So if you see that, it is on the other channel, which I don't currently do any streams on. This is Deja Vu. So why am I currently here? I wonder if I could change that. I don't think it'll let me. Okay, so the dragon girl there is from my other channel. Just so you know, if you're confused, you are at Deja Vu. Okay, so you might be somebody who's subscribed to all of my channels, and welcome if you are here. Let me move my material around a little bit here. I am talking about John Titor, but I also am going to talk about the energies I pulled out a few days back, maybe even a week ago. So there was a tweet, there's some kind of exposure. I pulled this out before this whole Sasha story came out. There's ice swarm. Okay, I pulled it out probably around the time that it was actually happening. So it wasn't that I was early. But this is Minnesota. The ice swarms are happening all over the blue states. Then we have, and I had no idea Iceland was going to be on the table as well. Hey, Jeffrey, how are you doing today? I hope you're doing well there. We have Governor Cox. He showed up. He's Utah. He showed up in the news around the time that I pulled this. And I don't know if he's going to be in the news more. So we'll keep an eye open for him. I am going to talk about John Titor, though. But we had an invasion, the tunnels in Greenland. So I think that they're going to do a secret sneak attack. So if they don't have enough troops on land, they're going to come underneath and they're going to surprise ambush whoever in Greenland is protecting the land. So hopefully Greenland is keeping everything even underneath their feet protected, because I see them doing some real sneaky, dirty things on our side. I have the pendulum with me and cards here. Now for the ice attacks, be on the lookout for New Jersey, Alaska, of course, Minnesota, Georgia come in here, and Michigan. Now, there was strange fog in 4 states. Now, I think your state, my state, and I can't remember if it's Cali or Washington and Georgia. So it was Nevada, Oregon, Cali, Washington, Georgia, but maybe it was only one. I don't know whether it was Washington or Cali. The 4 states had a weird fog, and people were getting headaches, and strange things were happening around the fog. Has anyone experienced anything with that? Hey, Sanguine, how are you? No, what isn't? I'm not sure what you're saying. No, what something isn't. Okay, so we pulled out JamesRink and Barack Obama. We got black male. Okay, JamesRink was ended. His life was extinguished. And I'm going to pull some cards on that. We have the White House, Draco military. So we're going to put some of this aside for later. Wall Street, world domination. We know who we're talking about with that, right? Dumbledore. I'm getting Harry Potter, Dumbledore. That's from, I think, Harry Potter. Double. Okay, and Amber Alert, we got Melania, we got number 47, we got number 46, and we got battery and development. So we're holding on to those. And I'm just reiterating them in case anybody has had anything that they've seen come up with Biden, Barack. And we know about the dump truck, right? We know about that, right? Is it warmish? It's kind of sunny here. I don't know if it's warm, but I guess it's warm in comparison to what it was when I had to run the water in the faucet the other day. I didn't bring any material to read, like verbally, on John Titor. So not everyone knows who he is, and I'm just going to give you kind of a crash course on what he did and who he was and how it has to do with, now, the timeline was pre-2000s. It was like the tail end. We were going through the Y2K, which was everyone was panicking that their technology and things would not consistently stay in flow working, and or life would not remain the way we were accustomed. From 99 to 2000, a lot of people were afraid of cars and clocks and just a lot of things just not working. At that time we had computers, we were concerned about those. There were other things, but so the marker of the year changing from 1999 to 2000. Also, if some of you are familiar with the song Prince sang, which he was right to some level, but the technology and maintained, things happened. We adapted. We didn't have any problems at all. It was all hyperbole, really. But John Titor, Titor, he showed up on the scene. The news groups were just a buzz. And that's how I found out about him. I found out about him about 2 months before he disappeared. So I was at the very tail end. He was around, I think, for on and off. I think it was a good year, maybe something like that. Anyway, and John Titor had this intel he brought in, and he had some compelling information that had everyone riveted, because he said he'd come from the future. And when he come from the future, he spoke of the decay, the desecration to the nation that we live in right now, if we're an American, right? If you're a USA citizen, you know what I'm speaking on, okay? You might have known of him. You might have been somebody who come in the later years and you thought, oh, this is a farce, this is funny, but this isn't real. Well, the timeline with dimensions and jumping and doing things like that can, sometimes you can wind up in the wrong timeline. So I think because of the butterfly effect, if you change one thing, and that's the reason why he was real careful, he didn't bring a lot with him, information to us, because we were a naive society at that time. And there was a lot that if he had brought out, he would have disrupted the flow of the natural rhythm that particular timeline was supposed to go on, operate with, right? Hey, Sunil George, how are you? Okay, so he brought in information about IBM, I believe it was, computer he needed. He needed to get a particular computer part. He needed something for his car. He had a car he was using to jump from timeline to timeline. And apparently there were more than one John Titor. Okay, there was more than one. So it was like a code name. It was kind of like there was one character named that, and he would go back into the timeline he's from, and he would report to his friends, look, I made contact with people, I told him this. And it was kind of like officer friendly. Back in the way back days, like 70s, 80s, we had what we called officer friendly, and he would appear in schools, and it was always the same name, but it was a different officer. And it was just like a code, so that way his own identity was not exploited. And it was just kind of like also, if you grew up with in America, if you grew up with Smokey the Bear, okay, there was a time when Smokey the Bear was a character, and you'd have different drawings of different bears or different images, but it'd be always Smokey the Bear. So this John Titor character was more than one. Now, I couldn't tell you from 1 minute to the next if the same person was giving us what intel we had received. But I can say this, from what I gather from everything, they could have all had their own wisdom. So they brought in and shared, imparted different portions of this new era that they had seen and had to go through. What the basis of the, okay, let me look at just a second. Okay, but the basis of the betrayal of the nation was because there was devastating effects of attacks on the nation, and it was brought in, I should say, by factions that were our own. And there's been a lot of people talking about the dump truck. I'm using that term, okay? Because yes, that is disrespect, but you know what? When I'm considered to be, just because I'm breathing and living, an enemy just for breathing and living, and also believing in the nation, as it has been under those of our family members who have died to protect the Constitution. I am a person who believes in all of the forefathers, you know, what they wanted for this nation, not what is happening, not what has been happening in the last 10 or so years. That is not what I've been for. But I believe that we should have the freedoms, and the flag should have meaning, the Constitution should have meaning, all of these things. There are a lot of things that are a farce that we are learning about. This is true. This has been an enslaved nation. This is true. And a lot of it we did not understand or know. This is true. I mean, if we were born melanated, we understood, okay? We understood. If we were Caucasian, we may not have been privy of this as well if we'd been melanated, okay? Because this is the way the nation is. It has been a slave nation. It never stopped. It wasn't in our faces. But also when you take the dollar bill, I'm getting off topic, but I just wanted to say, they put us under illusions and they sent us into a frenzy of greed. You know, work that extra hour, make extra money, get the overtime, get the better Christmas for your family. We were slaves to the dollar. We were slaves to greed. We were slaves to materialism. Okay, so on a personal note, I'm fighting my materialistic, say, tendencies, because it's part of the programming. Being an American, you're programmed to want more, want better, do better, have this, have that, you know, and there, you know, like think of it like all the ads, you know, like there's a sale here, there's a sale there, let's go over there, there's a bargain, you know. I was going through my mind's eye, remembering places I lived, places I used to shop, things, because things have changed. We're what was that? We're seeing the snake eat its tail in this nation. We're going from it felt like a rich place, but it wasn't. It was always third world. We didn't know that. That's something that you really have to look at closely to see and observe that we were. Maybe not the 50s. I don't know. I think they were tricked then too. That's just my opinion. But getting back to John Titor, however his name is supposed to be said. He told us that we were tricked. So the dump truck, there's been talk that he has always been an asset to the Kremlin or to the KGB or to the ones, Putin, right? Just a moment. What happened? Don't drop that. No. Oh, I knew you would do that. I knew you would do that. You're so funny. Okay, it's there. It's there. You're so funny. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so let me get back to the topic I was talking about. So yeah, so he's been an asset to that place, okay, to the Russian side, okay? But the thing is that a lot of people don't talk about, but a lot of people do know. They can't talk about because it's censored, and I can't really say too much because I will be censored, and I don't want to exploit it too big and too boldly. But this is not hate, this is the truth. So I need to make sure that you understand that when I speak what I speak, I'm speaking truth. I'm not speaking this from I don't like these people. That is not the truth. I like people from all over the world and different kinds of people. But if they are out to be snaky on society, humans, animals, nature, you know, then therefore that's a changing game for me. So that is where I come from. So when I speak the truth, it is speaking truth, unless it is say somebody is GENOCIDAL on any population. Okay, so I don't believe in the purge. I don't believe in ending lives just because, for the sake of, because they don't look like me or they don't look like I want them to. That is not okay in any place, anywhere in the globe. That's how I feel. So anyways, the group that is behind all of that word that I spelled out is the one that we thought were the oppressed in World War II. They are the ones in the not real nation. And I'm not speaking of all of those people. I'm speaking of the ones that believe in something that starts with a Z and ends with an N. Yeah, so it's a 4-letter word, okay? These people have indoctrined books that have basically been put out that teach each other that they're supposed to be superior, they're supposed to be the victors, and everyone else is supposed to just lay down and DIE, okay? So John Titor, he didn't speak of that when he came in. So our wrinkle and timeline could be different, okay? That could have been changed. I don't know. He did talk about the Russian side, okay? So it doesn't matter what way you cut it, we have been infiltrated. We are right now seeing the effects of what in our version of John Titor's story is coming to fruition. If this, I don't even know what I mean, he's a traitor, okay? This is treason. It was a coup. It's a regime. Nothing about it is legal, okay? If he truly does pull the, I can't even talk now, the Insurrection Act on this nation, if he does this, if he calls this, then there'll be boots all over the place. We will full on be occupied. And I call it occupied because this is not legal. None of this is right. It's not true. But it will happen. And war is theater, as they say. Well, so John Titor, back to what he said in his timeline, said that it was America and basically Russia in his story. And so what happened was they had all these military people from over there come over here, and then they would basically come after all of the American citizens and kill them all, you know, anyone who didn't survive it. So a lot of people in Russia had come over here and they lived here already. And according to what he said, even the military ones, they had defected. They had gone over here and the US soil, and they said, no, we don't want to be part of this anymore. So they decided to hide out and rise up against their own country that was coming for them. So it was sort of like a civil war, but it was in a new terrain, because they saw, you know, this is an opportunity to get away from this because it was so oppressive for them anyway. They saw that both sides were, they saw allies within the American people. The thing is it was really hard. John Titor had said that if people couldn't pull their weight, they wouldn't make it. They wouldn't be allowed to be in the civilian reigns, the communities that they had created. So they were into husbandry, you know, like creating animals, you know, like mating the animals so they could keep the stock going. They were into the seeding of the garden, you know, tilling the garden, making the plants of garden rich so that they could have food. They were into keeping the water clean, keeping supplies going so people could sustain. If people didn't come together, and also they had military. And then they had the group, it was a specific group, and I don't remember, I think he said that he did technical work too, but they usually had like a secondary thing that they did. And it's kind of like going to high school, you know, you have like a couple things you're really good at, right? And the second thing he did was he was into running the ham radio, the CB or whatever this was, right? And then they took it beyond that. They learned how to jump time. So they found out that they could go to different timelines, and they were responsible to do this. So this was their timeline, and they were telling us and warning us. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Gamer. How are you? So as they did this, they were imparting knowledge with us. Okay, so what I think happened was I think that he and his friends that use the same name, I think that they would come into every fold. So that, like, say there were the 13 or 14, 15, say, timelines, right? They would all find a timeline, and they wanted to get the message out no matter what timeline it was, so that no matter what happens in the past, people would impart that wisdom and carry it forward so that maybe this would not happen. The thing is that somebody else wanted to tweak it so that it would happen. So it's happening despite, it's just the facts are a bit twisted, the timeline's off. There are key players not involved, because he might have even told us, had he have known about the group of ZIO, you know, the last letter of that group that would like to end all, you know, like lives accordingly to their plans, right? He would have said that. So I would think. Now, it would have been unpopular to have said then, but we weren't censored to the level we are now. And this was pre, you got to remember, this was pre 9/11. What does that mean? Well, when 9/11 happened, they started instigating all these new little things, you know, like Homeland Security, things that you could actually liken to World War II, because we were starting to systematically usher in. And so they knew that they had only so long in that timeline to get to us. They got to us right in time. The problem is that most people thought it was a fairy tale. Oh, this guy, he's just a, you know, he's a, you know what, talker. And so they didn't believe him. A lot of people, I think, did not believe him. I mean, there are people who are on the fence still, and it's in our faces. So that's the problem. It's a Chicken Little scenario. You know, you can put tinfoil on your hat any day and every day, and you'd be the one standing there, and there'd be a few witnesses to see you were right, and they'd still be basically stupefied, and they would still doubt you were even right. I mean, this is the way that people are. They're dumbed down so much. So we are dealing right now with a majority of dumbed down people, and that's why we are where we are. So I ultimately think that there were things he gave us, information that might have helped us. But now, if this is implemented, I'm not sure what's going to happen to our nation. It's already looking pretty bad. He wants to be a world leader, a dictator. And I pretty much was calling that like last year when I was seeing that things were getting this way. I was talking about the Game of Thrones kind of thing. And I'm not somebody who's watched that. I've not any kind of intel on any of that stuff. I didn't watch, but I got this kind of feeling off of one of my readings last year when I started talking about planes being quarantined and or stopped and them halting, sending some of the flights over to different overseas locations and things like this, and travel banning kind of thing. I was getting like readings on this channel that were really, really oblique, and that's where we are. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to ask the pendulum about John Titor. Are we on the timeline that John Titor had warned us about when it come to being hoodwinked by our own nation? Hoodwinked is the one I got. I'm sorry. I got a yes. It's the word I got. I wasn't thinking of another word. So yes, fooled, tomfoolery, right? We were tricked. We were fooled. Yeah, I got a yes. Okay, so will we hear from a past, well, will it be past? Will we hear from another version of John Titor again, or no? No, we got what we were going to get. Okay, so are we headed for the version of community? I got a yes. So does this mean that it's going to be mostly American-born people and Russian-born people who fight this? Is that what this means? I got a yes. So it does look like it's going to be a matter of the people who are from Russia, and it could be Ukraine, you know, like if they decide to come over here, I don't know. Let's see. Would that be Ukrainian? Would Ukrainian people come here with the Americans? And yes. So it's going to be people who are from different regions outside of the US. So I don't know if this is going to, so that I got a yes with the pendulum on all of those. So what I want to talk to you all about, this is really concerning, but I just need to let you all know. About a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I recorded a video here, a live stream, and I don't remember if I was on live when I did it, but I talked about them taking the grid down or taking the communication lines down. So in the last 48 hours, we had a major outage of Verizon, AT&T, some of the major communication networks. People were going online, their phones were going SOS. So I don't know if that expanded into any other areas. I would presume that Canada and the US are not connected now because of the way things are going. So America is already, I think that was a test run. America is already about to lose communications, and maybe in some regions, maybe they're going to play with us and make it look like hackers. But I think they're going to do it. So the more that we hear about boots on the ground, also, if you're going into any protests and you're fighting for the Constitution, like say you're out there voicing, you're being peaceful, but you're voicing your opinions, your thoughts, your viewpoint, right? Be careful out there, because their tactics are very vile, very dangerous, and they aren't planning on letting us live if they can help it. They don't care. They pretty much have said that our lives are meaningless. The Renee character, I say character because I don't want to say her whole name. You know who I mean, right? She isn't going to be the last. Okay, she is not. Also, I should say Renee is actually a French name. And so it makes you think of the French Revolution. That happened before America had its original revolution. So the beginning in our history memory of a revolution would be France. So Renee, it's almost like that was the starting point, and I think it was the kickoff point. There will be no CW. So if you know what I mean when I say CW, it's 2 words. Yeah, the first one is civil. The second one, you know, pretty much, right? 3 letters. But it's going to go right into an R, the R, which I've already said that a few times. So yeah, we are right now in the throes of something very, very, very diabolical. And it seems to me that I need to tell everyone who is listening, anyone who is, that if you aren't aware, the blue states right now, there is nowhere to be safe. Nowhere. They're going to go door to door, they say, and they are starting. They already have. They can do what they want to from what it looks like, and it looks like the Democrat side in Congress is complicit. They are doing nothing to stop it. The governors of our states are doing nothing to stop it, which tells me that Titor was right, because they have power to bring in those boots to protect our citizens, and they are not. So this is my public service announcement to any U.S. citizens. If you are not for the MAGAs, if you're not for that group, which I hope anyone coming here is not for that group, right? So you need to be careful. I don't know what else to say. I just know that I can feel something is really building, and I think most of us know it. So keep an eye on your neighbors, your family, your friends. You know, if there's any pets that you keep outside, might be a good idea. If you can, bring them indoors. Not that anywhere is going to be safe, but the communication is likely to, once the oh, that's what I forgot to mention, that the jammers, they have drones. Okay, so they have drones. They also have jamming systems. So even if they say the Democrats in Congress and all the people who are leaders are saying, film a whole bunch, film. What good is that going to do if you have jammers on your phone? You can't get the message out. You can't put it on a social platform. And if the social media decides to not let you see what it is that you need to see, like say somebody does get footage and it's in your area, and that could save you, right? They could start resisting letting us have our say, our information, our sharing. So I'm just putting this out here as a PSA. Getting in touch with your own intuition, praying, that is important. I think we're in a time right now, this is spiritual warfare. It's not just 3D tactical abuse, it's beyond, okay? So if I have anyone here that is listening that is subscribed to my other channels, I have 4 Chinese zodiacs that I'm going to read for over at Lucky Girl. And I was going to check in on JamesRink because it's here on the board still. I have it here. And Cosmic Sage, if there is more people that show up from Cosmic Sage, I will do another live stream. I might just fit them in, like for like little short videos, like maybe 30 minutes, you know, like live streams, right? So whoever gets in that door frame of time then gets what they can from me, because my time is right now a little bit more precarious than it had previously been. And there's like a 7-hour window that I have littler lighting as well, but it is starting to get lighter with sun coming out and daytime coming earlier. So I'm going to try and get my hours turned around too. That is on a personal note. I'm not sleeping real well since America has been under this strain last week, since things really started to kick it up. So yeah, I do think that we are in a I got 4 of Wands in reverse. So yeah, our nation is not stable. It's destabilized. There's a lot of anxiety here. The Wheel of Fortune is about to turn. In what way is it going to happen? For whose favorites is it going to be in? So yeah, we're under judgment. And the other thing I was going to mention was, so some of you know about the Baron Trump book and the time machine, and Tesla had like the ability, the blueprints to jump timelines. So when we talk about John Titor and time jumping, it kind of works in tandem with the fact that that traitor who is putting an arch in over that is supposed to be like the one Germany had, I think it was, and I think that's a portal. I think that's a portal that he's installing, like a Stargate kind of thing, right? Over there in DC. And I think he's going to probably position them in all the places he wants them in. And from the looks of the book, if you're to believe the book, the Baron book, right? Baron Trump. Okay, so this is like no mistake. See, the thing is that dump truck named his son after the synonym. This is a name, or it was a name that he used for himself before there was ever millennia. He used it as a con. So he would call up the news station or something and say, "This is John Trump." And I don't think he used Baron. I think it was John. It was John Trump. No, excuse me. He didn't say that. He says, "This is John Baron." I think that's the way he called himself. Anyways, he used the names. Okay, so, and John isn't, I think it's his middle name. But anyways, so the portals, Tesla, his uncle or his father, I think his uncle, which was Mary's father, I believe, there was somebody who was his elder who had crossed over, left in his possession the Tesla documents. Tesla had the blueprints on how to jump timelines. All he had to do was make a few friends, spend a little money, and he, voila, could do it himself. And how do you think he got where he got? He has been going through time, and he has been instrumentally messing with everything. So his bloody fingerprints are on everything right now. He probably figured out a plan to exploit us by using Philip K. Dick's writings, which Philip K. Dick come out and said when he was a writer, that he was actually channeling. A lot of authors know this, that they channel. I don't think that you can say the term, "there's nothing new under the sun," lightly. It is true. Everything that we say or do is channeling. We are the pneuma. We breathe in everything, and everything is everywhere. And when I say that, I mean there's entities that are wandering around us that we couldn't denote if we tried. So therefore, writers, artists, everyone basically is breathing in pneuma. If you're breathing, if you're alive, you have pneuma coming through you. So yes, this character that I'm calling the dump truck, I think he messed with timelines, and he figured out how to get things to the juiciest place he could get to. So we're living on his timeline. So John Titor may have seen another person in his timeline become dictator, and might not have been this character, might have been another. There was somebody who's raining things to create the hell in the scape that we are living at that point for him. But this one here is somebody who, yeah, I don't even liken him with human. But yes, if you are a person who prescribes to the Bible, he is the Antichrist. I'm going to probably leave it at there. If anybody has anything that they want to ask, I'm going to look into JamesRink, because he was removed way sooner than his life had, I feel. I feel that the expiration date for his life may have been well into his 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe, had he have not been removed. So I do think somebody used some kind of way to end him. Can I find out more about JamesRink? Nine of Swords. The Hierophant. What is the Hierophant? Okay, we got the Seven of Swords. Yeah, he was removed. Okay, I'm feeling very similar energy, and I don't know who was around him when he did pass. Feeling very similar energy as to what happened to Max Spiers, because Max Spiers, I keep on seeing this image in my mind's eye to the 80s, because it's the only thing I can liken it to explain it to those listening who might not be familiar with soul transferring, right? There was a movie, Steve Martin was in love with a woman, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Lily Tomlin, and Kathleen Turner was his wife. He was in love with Lily Tomlin. It was called All Over Me or something like that, or In Her Head. I don't know. It was a Steve Martin movie. You can look, Man with Two Brains. It was one of these movies he made in the 80s. And they have a character who's like a guru, and he is saying back and bull, because he's pretending to be like he's from India, but he's an American actor, okay? And he's saying back and bull. The whole thing was supposed to be real funny, okay? Thing is he's talking about the soul that is being trapped and kept in a vessel, and it somehow went down into the toilet, and it was a comedy thing, right? But anyways, the point is that you've seen it maybe if you've watched any horror films or any campy, rompy kind of magic-esque kind of thing, right? Where entities can be trapped in articles, items, materialistic, you know, like candlesticks and kettles. And if you ever watch Bewitched, they did a bed warmer back in the 1800s, 17, somewhere in the earlier times. There was a bed warmer that had been possessed, I think it was. But yes, this really happens, and this can happen. Well, in my mind's eye, when Max Spiers crossed, they were talking of the black goo that come from him, okay? So I think what happened was his soul was transferred. I don't know how the black goo is. I don't know if that's a copying. There's something, because it's sentient. I don't know what that is, okay? So what is the black goo? Merging. Okay, so it's merging his soul. It might be a compilation. When you think of silly putty or Play-Doh, and you want to throw two colors in there, which would be, say, two objects or two souls, right? Maybe you want to throw 4 of them in there. So say they are combining maybe with the black goo. Yeah, they're combining. But I don't know if they can merge 2 souls together and put them in one body. Oh, that would be absolute hell, wouldn't it? So anyways, back to JamesRink. So I'm getting the same feeling off of him. I don't know if JamesRink was present with anybody when he did cross. I had heard the solar eclipse will affect the orange one. I really hope so. But Jeffrey, the bad thing about that is, do you know how many entities would like to take his place in that one that I'm calling? Okay, guys, don't shoot the messenger. Okay, but I don't know if I was given this or if I really am feeling this way, but I've given a new name to the other second in charge. And that name is, what was it I called it? Just a second, let me get it back. Okay, it had something to do with SDD. Okay, so the chance with the STD. Okay, because the reptile Peter, who runs Palantir, you know what I'm saying, right? That individual, the couch surfer that they talk about all the time, right? The eyeliner man. Yeah, yeah, he's an opportunist, and he's looking forward. He's the one that come out and broadly said, we're going into all your houses. We're going to go door to door, blah, 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 right? I cannot believe the timeline we're living in. It's the worst. Anyway, so yes, there will be. And there's the chain of command. How many of them are? So unless we stand up and we pull them all out by their ears, you know, one by one, if not in groups, But it's going to take the military. It's going to take the National Guard. It's going to take every individual who has the second that they respect. It's going to take every Republican who realizes that they've been tricked, sucker punched, and used. It is going to take all of these groups to unite. And what so far tells us that that's going to happen. I mean, I hope that that solar eclipse can, but the thing is that that also kind of sparks off for me, as Renee, as I was just saying, was French, and the revolution comes to mind. I think that Renee was the spark of last week. So it's happening. Things are happening. There are people who just will not lay down and take it anymore. Hey, Carrie, how are you? Didn't know you were live. I've been better. I've been really rattled about this whole door-to-door business, and then the removing people from cars, and people are going to medical, they're disabled people going to medical offices that are being ripped out of the cars. There's people giving birth to their children that are being, people are being maimed and wounded, and their lives ended. And I've just lost my, yeah. Actually, he might be more evil. I mean, yes, this character, this dump truck, he has charisma, which it's ass backwards charisma, if you ask me. But it is charisma because he can sell snow to an Eskimo. He knows how to get people a certain way. I think that he is paid money to get some kind of a sorcery on him so that people will listen to him and be enchanted. So that a lot of people who are into sorcery, they do things like this so they can be bewitching to others. And so I think that this is what this character has done. And I think back to how every accusation is a confession with him. Back when he was in the first term, he kept saying, oh, these witches are doing sorcery on me. Well, in fact, he was doing sorcery on the rest of us. And that has come to my understanding. That is what I recognize now. So yeah, he has been playing sorcery on us. I'm going to have to dive into this JamesRink a little further and closer the next time I come out here. Because JamesRink, I feel it is kind of like a Max Spiers situation. Let me just ask. What do I get with those two, please? Yeah, we got the High Priestess and the Eight of Swords. Yeah, it is. I do think it is. Okay, let me find out. Is there a connection between the ending of JamesRink and Max Spiers, please? Pendulum's giving me a hard yes. So I do believe it's true. I think that there is something connected. It could be that they merged their souls. I don't know. Or maybe, well, because before they twinned James Casbolt and Max. So I wonder if they're going to try and twin these two and put him back into Kruger or one of these other super soldier programs. This is just really bizarre. And Max might already be out there, but James, in this time frame, they could be stripping him of this identity he's had, maybe, and trying to give him amnesia. So they're working on him still. I don't know. Got the Two of Swords in that one. Somebody's driving by with really loud music. It sounds like polka music. They're doing, it's including the R and the other R families. It's dark stuff. My son dropped off my reading glasses so I can read the chat better. Okay, I'm glad you found them. I thought you lost them. Okay, so you must have just left them someplace. Okay, so is this blackmail something that he has over somebody? Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, there's somebody that he is blackmailing. Can you give me a little more on that? Okay, so we have death. So they caused a death. Maybe they're being blackmailed because they ended somebody else's life. Yeah, 10 of Swords. So somebody the dump truck knows he's blackmailing because that somebody, and the only other person I come across was both Melania and Barack. Was this Melania? It's a possibility. Is Trump blackmailing Barack Obama? King of Swords. What is the King of Swords? Try it. Yes. Barack Obama is being blackmailed. But I don't know if he ended somebody's life directly. Has something to do with him coming into his position. So he did something that Dump Truck knows, and he's holding it over his head. It could be ending somebody's life. It does look like it could have been familial. Maybe he got money, like an inheritance or something, because maybe he ended somebody's life. I don't think they went to Haiti. I think that was the Clintons. Yeah, Obama took a chance. He took a chance, took a gamble on something, and that put him where he was. The Dump Truck understands this. They know that he knows this, and he is putting blackmail on him. So that is why Obama is not a great character. We know that. We already know certain things. But this is why he's not kind of going to take, say, a focal point on the stage, because Dump Truck has decided he wants to be the feature, the one, the one that will be emperor of the whole world. That's what his plan is. No, I left them at home. I wasn't expecting to have to stay with my daughter after this. I hope everything is going okay, Gary, in that situation. It was supposed to be minor, ended up being worse. Okay, so how far is the Dump Truck going to get when it comes to world domination? Got the Four of Swords in reverse. And we got the Ten of Pentacles. So I'm getting the visuals of a game board that has just been thrown on the floor, and then everything picked up and put fresh, and he all of a sudden has a new game, new rules, new laws, new. So it does look like he's going to take all, and we aren't going to. Four of Pentacles. He's holding on tightly. Does that mean Baron's taking over after him? Who will take over after him? Is that Baron? Yeah, I have Kindred Spirits, Two of Cups. Who is his kindred spirit, please? Who is his kindred spirit? Somebody who's a Pisces, maybe a Virgo. And I think that the chance, the VD chance, I think is a Leo. Something to do with a list. Well, somebody I saw comment said that Barack had been at the island. Now I got my hands on the list and I never saw Barack's name on there. I saw the HC and the BC couple, both of them, on the list. I saw several models, supermodels on the list. I saw several names that were like of entertainment and political world on the list. And I saw one very high ranking psychiatrist on the list. And that was the first one on the list too. Her incisions start bleeding today, but the hospital said let it be unless it becomes a lot of blood. Yeah, sending healing energy for her and your whole family, Carrie. Yeah, I don't know if he had been or not. Page of Cups. I know that they said that Bill Gates, his wife wanted to divorce him because she didn't like him running around with JE. So I think, yeah, she saw him as the devil. Melinda Gates, she saw J.E. as the devil. And she didn't want, she didn't want Bill to run around with that crowd, with that person. Apparently, J.E. had the upper hand over, he might have been blackmailing the Windows boy. And maybe because he did, that's why the Windows boy decided to befriend him and sacrifice his marriage, his connection to Melinda. Yeah, I have 6 of Pentacles. Bill and J.E., so I'm talking Gates, right? They exchanged a lot of energy. They had a lot of money that they exchanged, and possibly young people. It was a very equal, let's say, relationship. It wasn't somebody holding something over somebody's head so much. It was sort of like, okay, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We're both going to come out. We're going to both do well in this partnership, this friendship. So they both were fine. Melinda, I think, saw basically the devil cozy up and seduce her husband. So she said, no, I'm out. I'm not into this. I don't want to be involved. She may not have seen everything. Okay, so I need to exploit a story I saw. Wanted to read on it. So I'm just going to exploit this. This is something I wasn't going to bring in here, but I'm going to go ahead and say it because it's related to a lot of this. Okay, so have you all seen Stanley Kubrick's film Eyes Wide Shut? Okay, so that's where we're going right now. Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley Kubrick would end, let's say, I don't know if there was ever any suspicion, but with maybe the people who talk in circles online everywhere in the world. But he would end. His life would end, okay? And it was very sus to many people, okay? So here's the thing. I haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut in a long time. It was probably a new film when I first saw it. I'm going to have to see if I can find it someplace. And Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were married at the time that they did it, and they portrayed a couple that was a real-life couple. And I'm not certain if it was the real-life couple that they say, the Sasha person who showed up on the scene, that I shared the video. And if you caught the video of the woman speaking about Sasha, he's Iraqi decorated soldier who has a history as a child. I won't go into it too far. Dump truck doing things to him and things that he saw. I said this in the last video where I said that the SNUFF films that I saw dump truck liking to be part of, right? Seeing people's light leave their eyes and doing this with actual underage people. Okay, he did this. Okay, so I saw this when I was doing my channeling, when I was doing my third eye work, and this person comes out of nowhere, and basically a couple weeks later, it's now all over the place. And yeah, it could be a lie. We don't know. But I feel because of what I saw and my intuition, it really, really resonates with me. So, anyone can dispute if they like. First of all, I want to say this. He's the most litigious creature on the planet, the dump truck. He has not come out to do defamation charges against the women that are once upon a time children of that island. If he doesn't come out against the Sasha character with his litigious behavior, I don't feel in my heart of hearts that there is any lies to this. This would be true to me in my eyes, because he could think you caused him a paper cut and he'll get you in court. This is who he is. So therefore, if he knows it's a lie, he might go for it. But if he knows it's the truth, he knows he can't fight a lie. He can't lie to save himself, because the courts, they're on to him. So therefore, I do feel the litigiousness within him, that if there is any farce in this story, we'll find out. We'll see it go to court. So going back to EyesWideShut. So I think it was the couple who was supposed to be the adoptive parents to this Sasha character we're hearing about now, but I can't remember. Somebody brought out a story and they paralleled the couple because the story was lining up to the couple that in real life had done certain things with underage people, like at the island. Okay, it's a couple that's not politically known that I know of. Okay, so I think it's just kind of an elite couple. That's all I know, right now. But the couple that was likened was connected, and they were portrayed in the film Eyes Wide Shut. Kubrick was trying to tell us. He was ended for telling us. The reason why he was ended for telling us was because the one little girl who was involved with pageants way back, if you remember, what happened to JonBenet Ramsey? What happened to her? Eyes Wide Shut has kernels for you to see. If you're curious, the truth was put in front of our faces with Kubrick, what he showed us. So therefore, there is no real mystery about it. It was given to the whole world. This is the reason why there's never been a killer or a abductor or, anybody that has come out, her young little, avatar, I'm going to say, or body, was found. And it was in a very, very grotesque way. But they had all these things. They said Patsy, they said the son, they said, there were so many people they said. But apparently, and it could have been that the Ramseys are the ones that they're mentioning in the Kubrick film, but I cannot remember. So you might want to see the film. I would need a refresher myself. So it was exploited in the Kubrick film. That's why he isn't here. And I have 6 of Cups here, and on it, it says reminiscence. So like time gone by, remembering something. So yes, all of the things are connected. I already had thought there was something sus about that when I started connecting the dots. Hearing the stories of J.E. Island and knowing that Dump Truck had all these modeling agencies. Okay, so here's some personal information I'm going to put out. I'm going to just kind of exploit myself a little bit. I didn't get involved in any of this stuff that I am aware of. Okay, so when I say that, there is such a thing as amnesia, certain tactics that are taken. I was roofied. Some people have heard this and know this, right? During the same window of time that I would meet the geneticist, okay? So let me just say that when I was going to be going into modeling, it was a couple of years before that. I was young. I was just turning 15, I think, when I was like getting involved in this interest of like being glamorous or, trying to be, I don't know, because I was starting to put like these modeling magazine pictures, inserts all over my walls. And I was like, I wanted to be like those models. Okay. So I went to John Robert Powers modeling school. Okay. My boyfriend and my mother, they both resisted in letting me go. My boyfriend was really jealous. I mean, so jealous that I think that he's got that mindset that he put something on me that he would have me dead rather than be with anybody else. Anyway, he wanted my life miserable. Things went downhill after him and I. So I would imagine when he went to Italy, yes. But I went there and you can see when I go by in my memory, when I went in there, because I had a series of appointments that I had when I went there. There was I would say there is a large span of age groups that were there. I saw more kids there than I saw anything. They had pictures of Lucille Ball and celebrities that if you're going in and you're totally sold off on the idea that you want to be a supermodel or something like that. You want to get into stage acting. You want to do anything that's in the entertainment sector, which I was into all of it because I was into musicals. I was into dancing. I was in all of it. So I wanted to be a superstar. I didn't want to just be somebody who was just going to be pretty in a glossy, layout. I wanted to be somebody, at that time. That's what I believed, right? So I do remember though when I went, it was just more probably 17 and under I saw, let's say. And so I would have been probably just a couple years younger than the eldest that was there. So there was nobody that would have exceeded that. So let's just say, for instance, when they told me that they worked with talent, that, because this is with, you know, they give you the interview, they give you an idea of the college and everything else, right? They were connected with the Casablanca, because I went to Casablanca and Barbizon as well. No, actually, it wasn't Casablanca. For me, it was Barbizon, I believe. I went to a second one. And so I kind of got entrenched into both of them. Okay. So the point I'm making is I didn't see anybody that was older than 17. He always wants people who are under a certain age bracket, right? So I think he was exploiting the entire planet when he was doing what he was doing. He had reach. And I have memory 2 years later, but I cannot put my finger on how much my memory is going into this. But I saw JE at the research facility with the geneticist that I had that I believe was handling me. Therefore, this part of the planet was touched by this JE stuff, I believe. And I saw like all young people. So when I say that, I mean, these people were supposed to be all ages that went in there. Like they said that if you were like 30 something, 40 something, and you were getting, you know, you had an agent there, you would go there, you would still be there. You would still have meetings there. You would be there for whatever reason. I didn't see anybody there except for staff. That was it. And that kind of seemed funny. And I ran into some videos. That's why this opened and locked something for me in my memory, which this isn't really telling. This is kind of just showing a reason to suspect. That's not, I'm not giving data that would be really, it's just showing that it's kind of sus. Because I didn't even see parents there. You know, it was just like they were there, and it was like, it was very trusting. Anyways, I saw this video, and I don't even remember who, because I don't think I'm subscribed to her. She had gone to John Robert Powers. She literally had gone. So she signed the dotted line. She had a contract. She was a model with them. And she started out as a child. And she's talked about the predatory, the practices in which they had used upon, and how it was part of the industry, the underground, the market. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to leave that topic there. But anyway, so go to EyesWideShut if you're curious. There is a couple that is portrayed that has something to do with the 𝐉𝐨𝐧 girl. What happened on JE Island and elsewhere because of or with JE is disgusting. It is. But I have to tell you, it's even more disgusting than just the top levels. This is like an onion that is layer by layer. It makes you cry more and more. It is more disturbing with every layer. And I'll one up on that. This is so sad. This is how depraved it is. Right now, people aren't talking about this. He is right now making money, profit, and lust, and everything else is going on. This is going on under him. So when we have ICE people stealing people off the streets, they're taking their children. They're taking the young people, and they're putting them in situations like what we're trying to exploit and put justice to. They are stealing more. I don't need to say it any clearer than that. It is happening worse now than it was prior. See, then they could be secretive. Now it's like, well, we can get away with anything we effing want to. And so, yes, it has me incensed. If you hear it, I'm pretty mad about it. I got the hangman on that. Yeah, they're traitors. Everyone who's involved is a traitor. So, anyways, I didn't plan to come out here and talk about the whole JE thing. Okay, so that's, you can hear that everywhere. Okay, the John Titor thing, though, it is true. This nation is right now under the thumb of something that is going to try and take us down. And so, you know, like last year, around April, right around the time that Titanic's anniversary was, I started seeing USA as the Titanic. We have been slipping. If you remember the old film, the Titanic film with Kate Winslet and DiCaprio, you could hear the steel as it made that arcing sound. It was so eerie. That whole time in that icy water. Can you imagine the victims and how they felt? Why do you think he calls this group ice? Think about it. There was an ice cap in the Titanic. Why do you think he chose this, or that was used and it's being abused on us? Icy cold water. Why would it be a watery grave? Okay, so offshoot news I have to bring that some people might not be aware of. In America, some of the wealthy people who are here, because we have oligarchs, okay, apparently there are places, and I didn't vet all the information as to where, but I think it's Florida and Georgia, but I'm not certain for all of this, but I do know that Florida was mentioned strongly. There is a safari they created, and the Michael Crichton crap that we've seen in books and on film with dinosaurs and things like that, there's been some silent, people trying to talk, but it's kind of hushed, that this is a reality. And also they're taking certain animals that were like saber-toothed tigers and other ones that we think of that are gone. They're creating these like places, these theme parks. And I think they're exploiting those of us. And it's like Mockingjay, like you're gonna go, it's like, it's worse than the films that you see, like the, what was that train? The one where people are cannibals on the train. They have like really, really sinister things going on. And this is something that was mentioned in Florida, and I don't know where else, but that's why I saw hoodwinked. It's on the card, hoodwink. So yes, there's conflict around this, Five of Swords. So yes, it does seem like people are tricked. They're tricked. Maybe they think that they're going to do something to help their families. So they're getting signed up to do something. They're taken out to a place that's remote, and they're hunted down to the very end. I got the death card. So yes, in the way back days, you would hear about wealthy people getting tired of hunting animals in the jungles and having things to put on their walls, right? You would hear that they would start taking out their GUNs and get on horseback, and they would start hunting people. This would happen in certain places. This is no joke. But now they're wanting to do this with creations that they have created from tinkering in labs. So animals that should not be here. That's what I'm hearing. So I don't know how true it is, but you know what? It sure makes sense with some of the other wicked things that are going on. So sorry, that was just my stomach. I have gotten to where I'm eating once a day, so it's like, it's growling. Sorry. I need to stop drinking water. That's probably the cause. I definitely agree. There is so much depraved stuff that went on that we don't know about. Well, for somebody to want to have sex with something under something, somebody, okay, somebody, not thing, somebody, okay, anybody underage is sick enough, but then to want to take the life out of that somebody while doing it to make an SNUF film, right? That is just beyond wicked, beyond. Oh. So anyway, I am going to probably just leave it with that topic that I had with Titor as the main basis. We shouldn't have gone completely full circle. I shouldn't have on everything else, but just wanting everyone to know that America is not going to be what we once knew. I think that from what I saw with the visual, he is game-changing. Until things are, yeah, 10 of Swords. Yeah, we're done. He has already done us in. A brand new version of America is going to come out, but I think Baron may be at play here, taking the lead, taking the role after he's done. Yeah, because if Baron is the one that he sees as his soulmate, his likeness, and that's the only person I could think. But the thing is that some people were talking about his consciousness. I think that Truth Warrior said that. He had his consciousness quietly inserted into Baron. And then I think it was somebody said that. And they referenced that there was intimacy between Baron and Melania, and it seemed kind of an incestual kind of deal. But if this happened, maybe that was I don't know, I don't want to go down that road, but if that could, I mean, we have weird things they can do. If they can soul transfer, you could ostensibly soul transfer into the body of somebody who would be a family member. So therefore, it is a potential. Okay, it is. Nothing's off the table anymore. We are in the world of woo-woo beyond woo-woo. And I see 2 of Wands with the globe. Yeah, he's looking beyond. So there's 2 other opportunities he has outside the scope of what we heard of. So he's already moving on to Iceland. What's coming after that? And the thing is that we are the biggest threat. If we weren't, Russia and China would be in the news, at least for someone to tell us about. Like Canada would hear something and share it with us. There's nothing about China and Russia that is more brazen than what America's up to right now. Therefore, I think that he's hungry. He's taking on an entire buffet, the whole buffet. He won't be happy until he's done with it all. Yeah, the 10 of Cups. He wants everything. He wants everything. Have you heard anything up in Canada on, Carrie, on China or Russia? Or is America doing the most dirty? Are we the dirtiest right now? Or are you hearing things dirty on their accounts for trying to do world domination? Are we the worst? Yeah, he wants Greenland, he wants Canada, he wants Iceland. Venezuela, he's already calling himself president there. He said he likes being called El Presidente. And he doesn't even like people who are Latin. I mean, all this make sense. It's just sicker than sick. And if he could off every population on the planet that is not his own family, which sometimes you wonder what he would even do with them. I think that it kind of feels like that one episode of Twilight Zone to me. He's like the Billy Mummy, I think. I can't remember his name. Jeffrey, if you're still here, maybe you remember. There was a Twilight Zone original episode. Carrie, you might have watched that too. He's a little boy who basically creates his reality, and all the characters in his reality are people in his house. And you think that they're his family, but they're just people who happen there on accident. And he makes their reality what it is he chooses, and he's very sinister. Yeah, at this point, I'm very, very disheartened that I am a resident here. I did not believe that this would happen. I mean, I would never have believed this would happen. I probably should wrap this up pretty soon. But yes, the gist of this is John Titor. John Titor was right. The timeline was off. There are some facts about John Titor that may have been twisted and or arguably deleted somehow. And some people gave up on him, and they fell for other hook, lines, and sinkers, when it comes to politics. But yes, John Titor was correct. And we have been betrayed big. And I don't think there's any coming back. And he is trying to wipe the slate clean. That means that he wants to bring the world to alignment the way he sees it, his view, his vision. And he's going to give only the chance to carry the torch. He may do a soul transference. In other words, we'll be under his thumb even if he's in a new body. We wouldn't know. So he could be in a inorganic body, because I keep on seeing Darth Vader. So he could be in like a robotic kind of figure. I mean, we did see Elon kind of take on that Terminator kind of edge last year in my readings. And then he was kind of glitching out. People saw him. So I think that some of these wealthy ones already have robotics of themselves. Maybe inserting their souls into them is something they have not done yet. I don't know. But if he, say, was to rot, as he looks like he is doing, he'll need to transfer into another organism, a clone, a family member, or a robotic character, so that he can maintain control. And I think that's what he will do. So maybe Baron is the name that he would, maybe he created Baron for a reason. I mean, Baron's soul could be gone. We wouldn't know. He could have put a demon inside just for a holding, holding space. Baron, the actual character that animated the child that was supposed to be his and Melania's, may not have been alive for some time. There could be a demon running that kid. I've heard some really bad things about him. So, I mean, if there's a demon running him, that would make sense. And if there is, then he would just rub the demon out and then he'd take over. He would insert himself into the body of his what would be son. And don't ask me why he wouldn't have done that before now. But maybe it has to do something with this arc of triumph, this thing that he wants to insert, the portal. Maybe he wants to do things a certain way. Or maybe he wants to get his body back to complete perfection. So the clone version of himself, where he was the guy who everybody knew in the way back days, not this rotting one that we see before our faces. Yes, Putin has a lot of lookalikes, so people don't know if. And then think about it, you went up that, Carrie, because I mean, you can have clones, you can have different models, you could have actors, but as well, you could have, like, look at back before we knew, if we didn't read the books, if we didn't read the books back in the 70s, if you didn't read the books and you were just looking at it on screen, you thought, especially if you're a certain age, right? You'd have thought the stormtroopers were actually, till you saw them taking their helmets off, you would have thought they were just robots, because even though you'd hear them talking, they just seemed like robots. They were all simulated, and they looked metallic, or hard plastic, whatever it was, they seemed to some of us like they were robotics, right? So let's just say, I mean, there could be like a whole factory of lookalikes, so he could insert himself where he chooses. The actual anima that stimulates the being that we call dump truck, that I call dump truck, he could be anywhere. And also thinking about Schwarzenegger when he did that one film, what was that film? The one where he, Total Recall, yeah. He went to what would be like a portal place. It's kind of like an airport, a portal jump location. And he portrayed a woman when he was going to leave. I mean, so let's just say that if Dump Truck wanted to just blend in, just for whatever reason, he could. So, I mean, doing an escape plan, if he has this Tesla technology, he knows how to do things. And we also know about soul transferences. JamesRink, I mean, Max Spiers, this is a real thing. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut this down. Carrie, did I read your Chinese astrology? Was it monkey? You called monkey, right? I wasn't sure because I think I already did monkey. Did that help you? Or was monkey someone else's? I can't remember. I have ox, tiger, dragon, and dog to do. And then I was going to do some readings for 2 different sets of people, including yourself, who showed up over at the community board at Lucky Girl. So I'm going to do 2 different videos. I'll probably do yours and Cherry's together, and then I'll do the other 2 on another one. Oh, I have to do something. Shoot. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So sorry. If I have somebody drop in, I'm going to have to run. If anyone is just showing up, this is the Deja Vu channel. I have the wrong art on the screen. Unfortunately, somehow I think it remembers the last place you go. I don't know what to think of it, but I did bug over there. And so I didn't get to respond to you, Carrie, because I was going to get this going while I had it hot in my mind. That channel, I couldn't get into it. Yesterday, I forget. I was locked out of it. I locked myself out of it. I don't know. It was bizarre. Thank you, Carrie. So how is everything going? I've just had so much going on around here. And I'm also trying to pare down, which it's like, for me, it's incremental because I already pared down when I got here, but I'm kind of trying to systematically go through my mind's eye. Like, if we had to cut down to half as much as we have, how would that look? How would that go? Because I don't know where we're going to be, or, you know, what's going to happen. I did the Aquarius reading about moving, and it looked like it sprung on the Aquarius. The Aquarius doesn't see it coming. With you, you have somebody you know you want to merge with. With my situation, we thought we were comfortable. We thought we were, you know, not comfortable, but we thought this was it. We weren't going to have to keep on moving. So the what ifs, I kind of got to keep it, you know, keep it in my mind, right? In case. It's meh. Oh. Is everything better? You did hear from Sag, though. Is he living in a place where it's getting kind of wild, or is it pretty calm where he is? Well, at least he's probably not contending with the dump truck. I mean, I doubt that the dump truck's going for, if he's in the part of the world I think he's in, I think Charles is in charge there, right? But he always does this when he really misses me and wants to speed up my coming. So is it kind of like an absence makes the heart grow fonder kind of deal? I'm trying to remember. Is it Starmer? Who is in charge over in the UK now? I think Starmer's the name I keep seeing. He doesn't interfere in it, Charles. So he's a figurehead. Well, actually, they're all figureheads. It's like you've said, it's the families behind the scenes. But in truth, I'm going to one-up you on that one. I had some downloads come at me. It's even bigger than those families. There's something a lot more sinister behind those families. They're not even in charge. They're just what we see that are in charge. And Donut asked me to explain what it is I saw, but I think that Lovecraft might have had a good inclination on that one, because it was a lot more sinister than it seems to the human mind. So if you can imagine the worst, it's probably worse than what we think. I mean, I think I'm thinking Lovecraftian, like almost like octopus, but I'm not sure of that. It's something not like us. I'm gonna put it that way. And so they're masterfully plotting everything in the background, but they're the ones that are the figures that are seen, and they're the only ones that have privy, and it could only be a certain group of them too, that are privy of the creature, the character, whatever you want to call it, the entity that is. And like if you're like a religious person, you denote that to be the devil or whatever. It depends on your origins. You understand something by your culture, but everybody would have a different name to liken it to. But there is a creature, a character that is behind the scenes of them. I remember a time when I went to go see Schwarzenegger movies all the time with this girl that we were both young women, actually. Call her a girl. We were both girls. We were young women. We both worked together, and she's the one that taught me how to target shoot. And we would go after work or on the weekend. We would go to Arnold Schwarzenegger movies like crazy, or any of the action actors. We were into that. And her neighbor was actually a stunt double for not Arnold. I can't remember who it was. One of the actors then, but I don't think it was him. I think it was Von Damme, one of those, or maybe it was, I can't remember. Anyways, it wasn't him, it was his son. So we would all go out together, all of us would. And we were off to the car after a film, and there was something that happened. I think The Last Action Hero was the one we saw. And she was talking about Minions. And it was before we had the funny Minion movie, the Despicable Me, right? And when I first heard the term Minions was from her, and I was like, what's a minion? Because I didn't know, like I didn't follow some of the things. I was kind of privy of some things, not others. I was naive to some stuff, right? So I'm like, what is that? And she was describing how they could be there, like be ankle biters, like gremlins, and be there right there, and you wouldn't even know it. She was describing them to me. And I'm like, I was so unbelieving of her. I was like, no, this is, you're making it up. She's like, no, I'm not. And that was about the same time that I first was introduced to tarot. And I wasn't reading, mind you, at that time. I might have to run away if I have to. It's because there's somebody that's popping in over here. But anyway, so yeah, years later, here we are, fast forward. Yeah, she was right about everything, and I was just so naive. It's just so funny how there's things we just don't understand. And every author, because of the channeling, has told us something. And without having our own personal experience, we could decry and deny any and all we wish. But the reality is that things are far more sinister than we ever would realize. I would love to have a boring, hunky-dory life. I would love for none of this to be true. I would love for it just to be, like an illusion that has been painted, broad stroked in our faces. But this is a sinister world. There's no way of I don't know how it can even be improved beyond the sinister that it is, because now that we've seen it, the genie's out of the bottle, right? Can't unsee it once you've seen it, right? Sag, when he misses me and thinks I'm taking too long to come back, he slows down communication because he says it hurts and misses me more when we talk. He hopes I will get scared. He hopes she will get scared I'm losing. I'm not sure I understand that part. He goes into hermit mode, doesn't he? I took your advice yesterday because I only had time to do the pendulum, and I thought about it after I got out there and I did it. I was talking to let's say spirit, not really source. I was talking right to my helpers, and they told me to only give what I can give. If I don't have more to give, just give what I can give. So yesterday I showed up at Cosmic, and that's what I did. And I kind of felt good about that afterwards. I'm not sure everybody was happy with that, but a lot of people were very, very kind and understanding. So I think that when time is kind of like not certain, I might just give what I can. Yes, no should be, I think, helpful to some level. And I'm going to put out the videos because I'm a little more controlled by doing videos, because that way if there's noise in the house, I don't have to worry about, the live stream having to get to the mic and mute it, or anything that's hard on the ears, because I can't control that. And I have an audience. I don't want their ears hurt because I'm not control fully of what happens in the home. So I appreciate, Carrie, your mentioning what you did and helping guide me that way. And I did speak to my guides and the helpers, and they kind of gave me a little insight, and it did work. Last night it worked. So I think that maybe we'll do 30, 40 minutes, maybe maximums, when I don't have the time to give a whole, dedication to the reads. He hopes by not talking to me much, I will get scared. I am losing. Oh, I get you. At first I was thinking it was going like he wanted you afraid. Your spiritual team, spiritual family. Yes, I was there when you were doing people yes, no questions. Yeah, you just popped in, and I don't know if you have one or not. I can answer you a one or two if you'd like, because I have my pendulum, if you want me to, right here. Yeah, I felt like it resonated with me to do that. And I think because time constraints, I'm better to start being more pragmatic, because when I was making people hit the thumbs up, like I was like reading, that was helpful. But a lot of people were just like wanting their reading. And some people were popping in, popping out, falling asleep. Some people weren't even sticking around. And it got to be really challenging for, I'm sure, the audience and myself. So I thought, you know what? Some people really care about this community kind of energy. I shouldn't say community, but more so collective energy. Some people want to know because they can read between the lines. Others, they want just what's for them, right? If they do, and all I have to give is a yes, no, then they can show for that. Or if they have the heart in them, the time in them to show up for the others that are a little meatier, then I will be doing those too, but I might not do them as often or as long. So I have to try and make this work for my lifestyle, because it's changed so much, and for those that need and want what it is they need and want. Hey, Cherry, how are you doing? You did? Okay, go ahead and ask me now. I'm so sorry. I was in a hurry to get out. So I think that just like now, it was like I was waiting for something to happen here that I couldn't, get away from. I mean, I'm pulled in several directions now. It's not just the channels. It's like I have my boys, I have my family. There's the community within my region here, where I'm at, and it seems like there's always something. So if you have a question, Carrie, I'll answer for you. And I'm sorry that I missed it last night. The last reading you gave me about my flood, you were right, my big, oh no, I don't want to be right about that. Is it okay? Is your basement okay? I'm so sorry, Cherry. Really, if it's free, nothing wrong with doing yes, no. Yeah, I felt a lot less drained. I actually felt like I had spring in my step when I walked away, because I had been feeling dragged down so much from all those laborious answers that I was getting, and I wanted to fully, I did. It's not really shade on people who were asking. I really went into it knowing I wanted to be a giver, but I have to realize I'm undermining myself and maybe even others, because if I don't give them concrete answers because my energy is waning, then I'm doing a better job if I can allot my energy appropriately. It was the city's fault, so it went back up into your tub or something like this? Or no, this was your basement. Luckily, probably there's no rugs involved. Were your rugs or anything damaged? It's really bad when you have fibers and things like that get messed up. Hopefully it was concrete. I kept on seeing the word concrete. Maybe it was just concrete. So will the city pay for the damages? Oh, that's horrific. Oh my gosh. And I didn't say terrific, I said horrific. That is just gross. I'm so sorry. Hopefully the city will pay for that, because that's beyond acceptable. That's not acceptable in the least. I mean, I can understand things happening, but when it's that's like that's your health, you know, your family's health. I'll be right back. Serious one, but I had stuff that got ruined. Oh, Cherry, I'm so sorry. Was it stuff that's replaceable? I hope it was usually people keep memorable things in the basement. That's terrible. Not sure. I had a sewer guy come out and told me the city needs to replace it. Not sure. I'll be calling them tomorrow or Monday. My dad's not well right now here with my parents. I'm so sorry, Cherry. On every account, I'm very sorry. That's terrible. If you have a yes, no on the pendulum, let me know. Either of you, Cherry and Carrie. I might have to pop out soon, so I should probably get to them in case that happens. I thought I heard the car, but I didn't hear it, so not sure. I had a sewer guy come out. Yes, it was, but I'm not happy. Stay well, Jeffrey. Thanks for coming in. I hope you have a wonderful day. There's still sun out there. Enjoy it. Okay. Cherry wants to know if her dad's health will get better. Will Cherry's dad's health get better, please? Okay, what we got was, it was doing small circles before it went forward and back, which is yes, but the circles, I think, indicate there's going to be ups and downs. Like there's going to be a lot more maybe hit and misses or fears before it gets better. So just to kind of prepare that there could be some daunting moments, but it is supposed to get better, Cherry. And I wish him the best. I wish you all the best in your family, that he heals, and that, yeah, I'm sending high frequency to you and your family, Cherry. You're welcome. Cherry, do you have a question? I mean, not Cherry, I'm sorry. I already answered yours, huh? Carrie, do you have a question? Your names are so close. Cherry and Carrie. Okay. Cherry says, energy check from me doing pendulum for myself. Okay. So you're asking me to ask if it reinforces what you said already. So you're asking me to confirm your pendulum answer. Will Sag commit to me in more serious way, like engagement or something, during 2026? Will Sag during 2026 bring a higher commitment to the relationship between he and Carrie? I got a little hesitation, like it was going to go no, and then it started going yes. So I would say that there's going to be like some, it could be finances, it could be some hesitations, as in like doubts or fears or, you know, something like that, but it went yes. So it's like, it's not going to be like immediately, I would guess. Let me see if I can get a card on that and see about, maybe there's timing involved. You got Queen of Summer, Cancer season, maybe. So it could be that there is something that's hesitating between now and when this occurs, and maybe he'll feel firmer in doing this closer to June, July, I think. That is what I saw. I got a yes, but it was kind of a hesitant yes. It wanted to go in a circle and it wanted to go to the side, but I watched it go forward. So forward and back. So I do think that summer, it might look like it's happening for you. Like it might seem uncertain until then. And then all of a sudden you're going to feel like a firm, wow, like he's going to come through, or you're going to start getting complete positive on every account where you're checking it. I'm just checking something over here. I think I need to talk about Tracy Twyman again, because I didn't know this, but the listeners strongly have come in here because of Tracy Twyman. And I did not know her personally, but I did talk to her when she was still living. And I don't know if it's people want me to branch out into some of the things that she had. Maybe I could see if the library has any material on her, because I think you have to buy the books at a very high price if you get them like at Amazon or something. So if I was to read her writing, it might be limited what I can get online versus what I would pay if I had a lot of money, which I don't. So I'm going to have to look into that. But I was just curious. I got over 1K. It was the biggest video I had when I spoke of Tracy Twyman over here. So it wasn't that I was trying to name drop. It's just that it's highly peculiar to me how she had Tyler, the AI entity that was bullying her. She spoke of this in those later days that when I was talking to her in her later days, when I commented, excuse me, it was like only a handful of times though, but she was always with everybody, very courteous. I don't think that she commented to everybody, but it looked to me like she was very, very good to people. She wasn't somebody who was conceited or, you know. So it was like, I'm just somebody that she was receptive towards. That's it. But seeing that many people, I think we have a lot of Tracy people here. So I might just look for what I can and then maybe do a Tracy video. So if anybody pops in here and they were a Tracy fan or they miss her, they enjoyed her work, please let me know. Her cancer is so it was cancer. I wonder if he is waiting till after his ex passes on. He doesn't want to hurt her. She has stopped all treatment and gave up. I got 8 of Pentacles when you told me that, when I pulled that just now. It's a very good chance that it is an initiation in his mind, as in if she is crossed over, even if they aren't romantic, maybe he feels like there's no way it's sliding her if she's gone. I don't know that he would actually put that, but maybe it does feel kind of weird to him. I don't feel he feels any kind of love towards her in that way anymore, though. It's just that I think that he respects and recognizes that they have history. Okay, let me get this straight. So the ox, the tiger, the dragon, the dog, and was the monkey and the rat? Carrie, were the monkey or the rat, were they two of the, because I did the monkey, I thought. The rat I didn't do. So did you say monkey last night? But you heard the monkey reading, right? He has no love for her. Okay. It definitely looks like it's during Cancer season. I got the Chariot too. So I don't know why he would wait for that, but could be the very tail end of Gemini season going into Cancer too. I saw the Ace of Swords. Okay. I guess I'll look into some Tracy Twyman for the next talk that I do here, the next discussion, unless something big comes up between. I don't want to go on the JE discussion, and it keeps coming in because the information, the intel keeps growing. But there should be other topics that need to be like noticed here. So I think that John Titor was an important topic, and I didn't go into it as savagely as I could have. So I will welcome you all to research John Titor. Please look into it. And the other topic is JamesRink and Max Spiers. I touched into that a little bit. So between those two characters and people, I should say, they weren't, so weird because the only one of the three that I never talked to, I just watched him while he was alive, was Max Spiers. Never had the opportunity to talk to him. I mean, in case anybody did, it was because they were in his proximity, probably. I don't think he had an influence online the way others did. JamesRink was a nice guy. Tracy was nice. So I don't have anything I could say about these people that seem like their characters were off or shady or untrustworthy. I don't feel that with them at all. So I'm going to maybe talk about the whole super soldier thing. I might delve into like a little research on it before I go into it. But I'm curious about Max Spiers and JamesRink, because James Casbolt come out of the woodwork. I probably ought to get going because I think the clock is going to get me. But it has been wonderful to see you all. Thank you for coming in, Carrie, Jeffrey, Cherry, and anyone else who come in and waved. Thank you and welcome if you're new, if you stuck around. So we will be talking on JamesRink, Max Spiers, and definitely Tracy Twyman in the upcoming, not reads, but maybe I will read on them since they're all ostensibly not here anymore. I got to get going. I think I do hear something now. Okay, be well, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.